All right, back at the West Townshend Bridge, we're here to show you the progress of the week here. What we were focusing on this week is adding in a lot of the historic stones that had to go back exactly where they were. And this row of stones that I've got here is a set of those. And when they originally built the bridge, probably a lot of what was the granite offcuts from making the voussoirs, which are formed the arch, ended up being used up at the top here almost as like the curbstone or capstones of the walls. You can see there's some iron pieces here that we still have to remove. This is from the original handrail that was embedded there. And these stones make up the original top of the work that Follett did when he originally built the bridge. So as part of the historic restoration, we put these stones back where they were. They were labeled and they've gone back in the same place. The challenge for us as builders is a lot of these were very awkward shapes that aren't ideal for structural principles. So we had to be very careful about what was under them, around them, and what's now going to be going on top of them to make sure they're locked in good. In terms of increasing the load capacity of the bridge, one of the strategies we're doing is we're actually building up more stone on top of the bridge. That allows the structure to be more stable. That goes with the engineering of masonry arches. What that also allows is that we're going to be adding some real large blocks that you'll see coming up on here. The rails, the new steel railings, are going to mount to that. It'll give us a very secure guardrail for the bridge. Let's walk around and check out the progress. Okay, so here on the downstream side, there was an old building foundation that tied right into the bridge, and we completed rebuilding that this week. So we've got this coming up to nice capstones. When we dismantled this bit of wall here that was the old building foundation, it primarily was quite small stone. So we rebuilt it again with mostly quite small stone. We were able to build that really strong to standard practice dry stone walling. So you see the ends of all the stones, a lot of these go in 3 or 4 feet, and it makes a very strong wall even though it's built out of smaller stone. And if you pan around here, we can see a little bit through the staging. We'll go up. There's another row of labeled historic stones across the top there that we put back right where they're going. So some of these historic stones are what we would call traced, which means that the long edge is parallel with the wall. And that's by and large not something that we like to build because it's more prone to squirting or falling out of the wall over time. In this case, we're countering that by how we're building around it. But this particular piece of granite, which was a historic stone laying right over the top of some of the voussoirs here, which just has some small shimming stones under it. Again, not our ideal way to build, but we're replicating what was here. You can see up on the top, there was a very awkward voussoir that they were building on top of with this big knob. And they actually broke out the back corner to enable that to fit. So you can see how the stones were keyed together there, and it went back exactly the way it was. All right, so we've got a mix here of some of these are historic labeled stones that are going back exactly where they were. And then you see some of these blockier rectangles. And this is what we call through stones. And you can see the length tying back, it goes almost to the center of the bridge. And that's really important for structure. And so some of these newer granite faces that you see, that's what that's about. And it's especially important because most of the historic stones don't go back very far. So we have to work those in order to have a really strong structure. Now one of the other things you'll see in some of the photos is we've got a lot of these newer granite blocks. And they've got some saw cuts and they've got some of these big drill marks from the quarry. And what we're doing is we're rebuilding the entire space under the roadbed basically solid with these granite blocks and other stones. And that way, as traffic's going over the road, it's not going to be putting outward pressure on the sidewalls, which is one of the ways that this bridge was having trouble before. It's going to support all the weight. We're also going down into the ground quite far. Right now, this looks like it's on the surface, but the actual ground level is going to be up about here, about 4 feet into the ground. So these newer granite blocks are going to be totally hidden, but we're doing that rather than pouring concrete because it's much more historically accurate to be using blocks of stone than to be like going to some modern material like concrete in a situation like that. The other thing you'll see here is we've got on both sides, we now have a big culvert pipe that's going to connect up to our road surface for drainage, and that'll take all the surface water and carry it down to the river where we're not going to be washing out the bank here. And you can see on the other side a little bit of that pipe sticking out over there. That's near the barn foundation there, and that ties up again up to the surface level where it'll collect the water off the roads. That's the progress that we've got here for this week, and stay tuned. We're moving fast, heading towards completion of the bridge.